Sophia Bennett stood in her small classroom, carefully arranging colorful alphabet cards on the bulletin board. The afternoon sunlight streamed through the windows, casting warm patterns across the tiny desks where her first-grade students would sit tomorrow morning. At 26 years old, she had finally achieved her dream of becoming a teacher, and every day felt like a gift. Her phone buzzed insistently in her pocket. When she saw her mother's name flashing on the screen, a small flutter of worry crossed her heart. Margaret rarely called during the school day. "Sophia, sweetheart, you need to come home right away." Her mother's voice trembled with an emotion Sophia could not quite identify. It was not fear exactly, but something close to it mixed with strange excitement. What happened? "Is Dad okay?" Sophia grabbed her canvas bag, already heading toward the door. "Everyone is fine, but Richard Harrington is here. He wants to speak with all of us together. It's important." The name Harrington made Sophia pause mid-step. The Harrington family owned half the businesses in town, including the prestigious Harrington Industries where her father Thomas worked as the estate manager. For 30 years, her father had maintained the sprawling Harrington mansion and grounds with quiet dedication. The families had always maintained a respectful distance, employer and employee. Nothing more. Sophia drove home quickly, her mind racing with possibilities. Had her father done something wrong? Was he being let go? The thought made her stomach clench. Her parents depended on that income, and her teaching salary was barely enough to cover her own modest apartment. When she arrived at the small cottage on the Harrington estate grounds, she found her parents sitting stiffly on the worn sofa. Across from them, in the faded armchair that seemed too small for his presence, sat Richard Harrington himself. The 70-year-old businessman looked every bit the powerful figure his reputation suggested. With silver hair, sharp blue eyes, and an expensive suit that probably cost more than Sophia made in 6 months. "Miss Bennett," he stood when she entered, offering a surprisingly gentle smile. "Thank you for coming so quickly. Please, sit down. What I have to say concerns your entire family." Sophia sat beside her mother, feeling Margaret's hand immediately grip hers tightly. Thomas sat forward, his weathered face creased with concern. Richard cleared his throat and began speaking in his authoritative tone. "I will be direct because I respect your family too much for games. My son Vincent is destroying everything I built. He has been photographed drunk at clubs, involved in scandals with various women. His reckless behavior is damaging our company's reputation. Our stock prices have dropped 15% in the last quarter alone." Sophia listened, confused about why this concerned her family. Everyone in town knew about Vincent Harrington's wild lifestyle. The tabloids loved him. The rebellious heir who threw money around like confetti and changed girlfriends as often as most people changed clothes. "I've tried everything to make him settle down and take responsibility," Richard continued, his voice hardening. "Nothing has worked. But I believe there is one solution that might save him and restore our family's reputation." He turned his piercing gaze directly on Sophia. "I would like you to marry Vincent." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Sophia felt her mother's hand tighten painfully around hers. Her father made a strangled sound. "Mr. Harrington," Thomas began, his voice shaking, "my daughter is not something to be bargained with." "Not making," Richard said firmly. "I am offering an opportunity. Sophia, I have watched you grow up on this estate. You are kind, educated, and you have strong values. I have noticed how you have looked at Vincent over the years." Heat flooded Sophia's face. It was true. From the time she was 14, she had harbored a secret crush on Vincent Harrington. He was 8 years older, impossibly handsome, with his dark hair and green eyes, always seeming larger than life. She remembered watching him from afar during estate parties, imagining fairy tale scenarios where he would notice her. But that was childhood fantasy. The real Vincent was not a prince. He was troubled and self-destructive. "I don't understand why you think this would help," Sophia said quietly, finding her voice. "Your son doesn't even know me. How would marrying me change anything?" Richard leaned forward intently. "Because you represent everything he needs. Stability, kindness, a connection to real life beyond the bubble of wealth is always known. And because I will make it worth everyone's while, He named a figure that made Thomas gasp. It was enough money to secure her parents' retirement, to pay off their debts, to give them the comfortable life they had never been able to afford. Additionally, Richard continued, Sophia, I will establish a trust fund in your name. You will have complete financial independence. I will also ensure you can continue teaching or pursue any professional goals you desire. This is not about taking away your freedom. It is about giving my son a chance at redemption and your family's security. This is insane, Sophia whispered, but her heart was pounding. Part of her, the part that had dreamed about Vincent for years, was whispering dangerous possibilities. What if she could help him? What if the boy she had admired from afar was still there somewhere beneath the tabloid headlines? What if this was fate giving her an impossible chance? I need time to think, she managed to say. You have 3 days, Richard said, standing. But Sophia, understand this. If you refuse, I will have no choice but to disinherit Vincent completely. He will lose everything. It might be what finally destroys him. After Richard left, the cottage erupted in heated discussion. Margaret was furious that Richard would even suggest such a thing. Thomas was torn between loyalty to his employer and protection of his daughter. But Sophia sat quietly, her mind spinning. That night, she could not sleep. She researched Vincent Harrington obsessively, reading every article and watching every video. Yes, he was reckless. Yes, he seemed lost. But in some older photos, before the scandals started, she saw glimpses of someone different. Someone who smiled genuinely. Someone who looked almost vulnerable. Her phone rang at midnight. It was Emily Chen, her best friend and fellow teacher. I just heard the craziest rumor from my cousin who works at the Harrington office. Please tell me it's not true. Sophia told her everything. Emily listened without interrupting, then said simply, What does your heart tell you? My heart is confused, Sophia admitted. Part of me wants to help him. Part of me thinks I am being ridiculous. And part of me is terrified. Those are all valid feelings, Emily said gently. But answer me this. If money and family obligation were not factors, would you want to do this? Sophia thought hard. I think I would. I think I want to try. Is that crazy? Maybe a little. Emily laughed softly. But you have always had the biggest heart of anyone I know. If you decide to do this, I will support you. But promise me you will protect yourself too. Do not lose who you are trying to save someone else. 2 days later, Sophia sat across from Richard Harrington in his imposing office at Harrington Industries. I will do it, she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. But I have conditions. Richard raised an eyebrow. I am listening. Want to meet Vincent first. Really meet him. Talk to him. If he absolutely refuses, I will not force this. And I want it in writing that my parents' jobs and home are secure, regardless of what happens with the marriage. Agreed, Richard said immediately. I will arrange a dinner for tomorrow night. Vincent will be there. The next evening, Sophia dressed carefully in a simple blue dress. Her mother had tried to get her to wear something fancier, but Sophia wanted Vincent to see who she really was, not some dressed-up version. The private dining room at the city's finest restaurant felt too grand, too formal. Sophia arrived first, her palms sweating. Then Vincent walked in, and her breath caught. He was even more handsome in person. But there was something hard in his green eyes, something guarded. He wore an expensive suit carelessly, his dark hair slightly messy. He looked at her without smiling. So you are the solution to all my problems? He said, his voice dripping with sarcasm as he sat down without offering to shake her hand. The good girl who was supposed to fix me? Sophia felt her cheeks burn, but she kept her voice calm. I am not here to fix anyone. Your father asked me to consider marrying you to help your family. I am here to meet you and see if there is any possibility this could work. Vincent laughed, a bitter sound. This is insane. You understand that, right? We are strangers. My father is using you as a pawn in his chess game. Maybe, Sophia agreed, but I am choosing to be here. I could have said no. That seemed to surprise him. He studied her face more carefully. Why did you not say no? Sophia took a breath. Because I have spent my whole life watching people give up on each other too easily. I have seen students who everyone said were lost causes blossom when someone believed in them. Maybe that is naive, but I think people deserve chances. For just a moment, something shifted in Vincent's expression. The hardness cracked slightly. But then he shook his head and stood up. You are wasting your time. I am not one of your students who needs saving. I am exactly who the tabloids say I am. Marry me if you want, but do not expect me to suddenly become some perfect husband. I will disappoint you. I disappoint everyone. He walked out, leaving Sophia sitting alone in the elegant dining room. She felt tears prick her eyes, but refused to let them fall. The waiter approached awkwardly, and Sophia ordered dinner for herself. She would not let Vincent's rudeness ruin the evening completely. She was halfway through her meal. When someone else entered the dining room, this man looked similar to Vincent, but softer somehow. His dark hair was neatly styled, his smile warm and apologetic. He wore casual clothes, jeans, and a nice shirt, and carried himself with easy confidence rather than Vincent's defensive arrogance. You must be Sophia, he said, approaching her table. I am Daniel Harrington, Vincent's brother. May I join you? I promise I am better company than my brother. Sophia could not help but smile. Please, sit down. Though, if you are here to apologize for Vincent, you do not need to. His feelings are his own. Daniel sat down, his brown eyes kind. Actually, I am here because I wanted to meet the woman brave enough to consider taking on my impossible family, and to tell you that Vincent is an idiot. You are his brother, Sophia said, surprised. Should you not be defending him? I love my brother, Daniel said seriously, but that does not mean I cannot see his faults clearly. He has been given every advantage in life and has squandered most of them. He pushes away anyone who tries to get close. It is his defense mechanism, but it is destructive. Daniel ordered coffee and stayed to talk with Sophia for over an hour. Unlike Vincent, he asked her questions about herself. He wanted to know about her teaching, her dreams, her favorite books. He made her laugh with stories about growing up as the overlooked second son, while Vincent got all the attention and pressure. Sophia asked, genuinely interested. What do you design? Mainly sustainable housing projects, Daniel said, his face lighting up. I know it is not as glamorous as running a corporate empire, but I love creating spaces where people can build real lives. Every building should tell a story and serve the people who use it. Sophia found herself relaxing completely. Daniel had such genuine warmth, such authentic passion for his work. By the time they said goodbye, she felt like she had made a real friend. Sophia, Daniel said as they walked to the parking lot. I know this whole situation is complicated and probably overwhelming, but whatever you decide, I want you to know you have an ally. If you need anything, or just need someone to talk to who is not trying to manipulate you, call me. He handed her his business card with his personal number written on the back. Thank you, Sophia, said sincerely. That means more than you know. Driving home, Sophia's mind was full of confusion. She had come expecting to connect with Vincent and had been rejected. But she had unexpectedly connected with Daniel instead. It should not have mattered. Daniel was not the one she was supposed to marry. Yet his kindness had touched something in her heart. That night, she called Richard Harrington. I will marry Vincent, she told him. Not because I think I can change him, but because everyone deserves a chance to choose differently. I am giving him that chance. What he does with it is up to him. You are either very wise or very foolish, Richard said quietly. I hope for all our sakes, it is the former. The wedding preparations began immediately. Richard spared no expense, hiring the best planners and designers. Sophia felt swept along in a current she could not control. Vincent remained distant and dismissive, showing up late for planning meetings and offering no opinions about anything, but Daniel was always there. He drove Sophia to dress fittings when her car broke down. He listened when she needed to vent her frustrations. He made her laugh when the stress felt overwhelming. And slowly, dangerously, Sophia began to realize that she looked forward to seeing Daniel more than she looked forward to her wedding day. 3 weeks before the wedding, Sophia had a breakdown. She sat in her empty classroom after school ended, crying into her hands. She had been so confident she was doing the right thing. Now she felt like she was walking toward a cliff edge. Her phone rang. It was Daniel. "I am outside your school," he said. "Come get coffee with me. You sound like you need a friend." They ended up at a quiet cafe, and Sophia poured out all her doubts. "What am I doing?" she whispered. "I barely know Vincent. He has made it clear he does not want this. Why am I going through with it?" Daniel reached across the table and took her hand gently. The touch sent warmth through her entire body. "Because you have a good heart and you hope for the best in people," he said softly. "Those are wonderful qualities, Sophia. But you also need to protect yourself. You deserve someone who will appreciate everything you are." Their eyes met and held. Sophia felt something shift between them, something dangerous and wonderful, and completely wrong. She pulled her hand back quickly. "I should go," she said, standing up too fast. "Thank you for the coffee." She practically ran to her car, her heart pounding. She could not be attracted to Daniel. She was about to marry his brother. This was a disaster. The wedding was now 2 weeks away, and Sophia felt like she was living in a dream, or maybe a nightmare. Vincent remained cold and distant. Daniel kept his distance too after that moment at the cafe, probably sensing the same danger she felt. Sophia threw herself into her teaching, finding comfort in the pure joy of her students. But at night, alone in her apartment, doubt consumed her. Then, 1 week before the wedding, everything changed. Vincent showed up drunk at her apartment at midnight, banging on her door. When she opened it, he fell inside, reeking of alcohol.
"Why are you doing this?"
He slurred, grabbing her arms. "Why do you care what happens to me? You do not even know me." "Vincent, you are drunk," Sophia said firmly, trying to guide him to sit down. "Let me call someone to take you home," answer the question he demanded, his green eyes bloodshot but intense. "Why?" "Because I think underneath all the anger and self-destruction, there is a person worth knowing," Sophia said honestly. "I think you are hurting, and you do not know how to stop." Vincent stared at her, and for the first time she saw real pain in his eyes. "I am going to ruin you," he whispered. "I ruin everything I touch. You should run while you still can." "Then try not to ruin this," Sophia said gently. "Try to let someone help you." Vincent pulled away and stumbled out of her apartment without another word. Sophia stood in her doorway, shaking. A week from now, she would marry that broken man. And she had no idea if she was brave or foolish, or both. Sophia woke up at 5 in the morning on her wedding day, her stomach churning with anxiety. She had barely slept, tossing and turning through the night, while her mind replayed every moment of the past month. The sun had not yet risen, and her small apartment felt suffocatingly quiet. Her phone buzzed with a text from Emily. "I am bringing breakfast and coffee. You are not facing this day on an empty stomach." True to her word, Emily arrived 30 minutes later with fresh croissants and strong coffee. She took one look at Sophia's pale face and pulled her into a tight hug. "Are you absolutely sure about this?" Emily asked, pulling back to study her friend's expression. "Because it is not too late to change your mind. I will drive you to the airport right now if you want to run." Sophia managed a weak smile. "I made a commitment. I have to see this through." "Commitment to what?" Emily pressed. "To a man who has barely spoken to you? To a family arrangement that treats you like property? Sophia, you have the kindest heart of anyone I know. But sometimes kindness to others means you are not kind enough to yourself." Before Sophia could respond, her mother Margaret arrived with the hairstylist and makeup artist. The small apartment became a flurry of activity. Sophia sat still while strangers transformed her appearance, applying makeup that felt like a mask and arranging her honey blonde hair into an elaborate updo that did not feel like her at all. The wedding dress hung on the back of her bedroom door. It was beautiful, an ivory gown with delicate lace and tiny pearls sewn into the bodice. Richard Harrington had insisted on the best designer, the most expensive fabric. Looking at it, Sophia felt like she was staring at a costume for a role she was not sure she could play. "Dot!" "You look absolutely beautiful," Margaret said, tears already forming in her eyes as Sophia finally stepped into the dress. "My little girl is getting married." Sophia forced herself to smile, but inside she felt hollow. This was nothing like the wedding day she had imagined as a young girl. There was no excited anticipation, no overwhelming joy, just a strange numbness, mixed with dread. The ceremony was scheduled for 3 p.m. at the Grand Harrington estate. When Sophia arrived in the limousine with her parents, she was shocked by the scale of everything. Hundreds of white chairs were arranged in perfect rows on the manicured lawn. Massive flower arrangements in white and cream created a pathway to an elaborate archway where she would take her vows. Photographers were everywhere, and she could see news vans parked discreetly beyond the gates. "This is a circus," Thomas muttered, his face tight with concern. "Sophia, sweetheart, you can still back out. Your mother and I will support whatever you decide." But it was too late for that. Guests were already arriving, elegant women in designer dresses and powerful men in expensive suits. Sophia recognized politicians, celebrities, and business leaders. This was not a wedding. It was a performance for the elite of society. In the bridal suite, a converted greenhouse at the edge of the property, Sophia waited with her mother and Emily. Through the windows, she could see the guests filling the chairs, chattering and laughing. The photographer kept asking her to smile, to pose, but her face felt frozen. "Has anyone seen Vincent?" Emily asked the wedding coordinator, a nervous woman with a clipboard who kept checking her watch. "He is in the manor with his father," the coordinator said quickly. "Everything is on schedule." But Sophia noticed the woman would not meet her eyes. Something was wrong. She could feel it in her bones. At 2:30 there was a sharp knock on the door. Daniel entered, and Sophia's heart skipped. He looked handsome in his dark suit, but his expression was troubled. His brown eyes found hers immediately, and she saw apology there, and something else she could not name. "Sophia, can I talk to you alone for a moment?" he asked quietly. Margaret and Emily exchanged worried glances, but stepped outside. Daniel closed the door and moved closer, running his hand through his hair in a gesture of frustration. "I do not know how to say this," he began, his voice tight. "Vincent is having second thoughts. My father is with him now, trying to convince him to go through with the ceremony. I thought you should know before you walk down that aisle." Sophia felt like she had been punched in the stomach. "He is going to leave me at the altar." "I do not know what he is going to do," Daniel said honestly. "But Sophia, you should not have to stand there and wonder. You should not have to risk that humiliation. Come with me right now. We can leave through the back gate. I will take you anywhere you want to go." For a long moment, Sophia was tempted. It would be so easy to run, to avoid whatever disaster was about to unfold. But something stubborn in her core refused. She had made a choice to be here. She would see it through, whatever happened. "No," she said firmly, surprising herself with the strength in her voice. "If Vincent wants to reject me, he will have to do it to my face, in front of all these people. I am not running away." Daniel looked at her with something close to awe. "You are braver than anyone I have ever met, or more foolish," Sophia said with a bitter smile. "I guess we will find out." At 3 o'clock exactly, the music started. The guests fell silent and turned to watch. Sophia took her father's arm, feeling his hand trembling against hers. "I am so proud of you," Thomas whispered, "no matter what happens." They stepped out of the greenhouse and began the long walk down the flower-lined aisle. Sophia kept her eyes forward, refusing to look at the hundreds of faces watching her. She could hear the whispers starting, the speculation. Everyone knew about Vincent's reputation. They were all waiting to see if this would be another scandal at the altar. Vincent stood, with his back rigid, his face expressionless. He was devastatingly handsome in his tailored suit, his dark hair perfectly styled. But his green eyes were cold when they met hers, and Sophia felt her last thread of hope snap. Thomas placed her hand in Vincent's. His fingers were ice cold and did not squeeze back when she tried to hold on. The officiant, an older man with a kind face, began the traditional words of the ceremony. Sophia barely heard them. She was too focused on Vincent's face, trying to read what he was thinking. His jaw was clenched so tight she could see the muscle jumping. His eyes kept darting to the crowd, then back to her, then away again. "If anyone here knows of any reason why this couple should not be joined in marriage, speak now or forever hold your peace," the officiant said. The silence was deafening. Sophia held her breath. This was the moment. This was when Vincent would do it, when he would speak up and end this farce. But he stayed silent. The officiant continued. They made it through the readings, through the blessing, and then came the vows. Vincent Harrington, the officiant said, "Do you take Sophia Bennett to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward? For better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, until death do you part." The pause that followed felt like an eternity. Every person in the audience leaned forward slightly. Sophia's heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst from her chest. Vincent's hand tightened painfully around hers. He opened his mouth. Sophia braced herself for rejection. "I cannot do this," Vincent said, his voice carrying across the silent crowd. Gasps erupted. Someone screamed. Sophia felt the world tilt sideways. "I cannot marry someone I do not love," Vincent continued, his voice getting louder, almost angry. "I cannot pretend this is anything other than what it is. A business arrangement. A desperate attempt by my father to control my life." He turned to face the audience, dropping Sophia's hand like it burned him. "You all know who I am. You have all read the stories, seen the pictures. I am not husband material. I am not going to suddenly become a responsible, respectable man just because I say some vows." Richard Harrington stood up from his seat in the front row, his face purple with rage. Vincent stopped this immediately, but Vincent ignored him. He looked back at Sophia, and there was genuine pain in his eyes. "You seem like a nice person, Sophia. You deserve better than this. Better than me. I am sorry." Then he turned and walked away. Just walked straight down the aisle, through the stunned crowd, disappeared into the manor house. Sophia stood frozen at the altar. The world had gone completely silent in her ears, a ringing emptiness that made everything feel unreal. She was aware of people standing, shouting, the chaos erupting around her. Cameras flashed. Guests pulled out their phones to record the disaster. She could see her mother crying, her father trying to push through the crowd to reach her. The humiliation crashed over her in waves. Every eye was on her. Every phone was pointed at her. She was the joke, the pathetic girl who thought she could save the troubled rich boy. She had been rejected in front of hundreds of people. The video would be everywhere by tonight. The whole world would see her standing there, abandoned and humiliated. Her legs started to buckle. The beautiful white dress suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. She could not breathe. The flowers, the crowd, the cameras, it was all too much. She was going to collapse right there, and they would film that too. Her complete destruction captured for entertainment? Then suddenly, strong arms wrapped around her. Daniel, he had been standing to the side as the best man, watching everything unfold with horror on his face. Now he pulled Sophia against his chest, one arm around her waist, the other cradling her head. He held her so tightly that she could not fall, could not crumble. "I have got you," he murmured against her hair. "You are not alone. I promise you are not alone." Sophia collapsed into his embrace, her carefully applied makeup running as tears finally broke free. She sobbed against his shoulder while Daniel held her, shielding her from the cameras, from the staring crowd, from the complete nightmare her life had become. "Let us get you out of here," Daniel said gently. He kept one arm around her and started guiding her away from the altar. The crowd parted, some people looking sympathetic, others clearly enjoying the drama. Daniel led her not back toward the manor, but to a side path that wound through the gardens to a small gazebo hidden by trees. It was quiet there, private. He helped her sit on the bench and knelt in front of her, his hands holding hers. "Breathe," he said softly. "Just breathe, Sophia. In and out. You are going to get through this." Everyone saw Sophia gasp between sobs. "The whole world is going to see. I am going to be a joke forever." No, Daniel said firmly. "You are going to be the woman who had the courage to stand there with dignity while someone else showed their cowardice. You did nothing wrong, Sophia. Nothing. This is entirely on Vincent." "I was so stupid," Sophia cried. "I actually thought I could make this work. I thought maybe he would try, that maybe we could find something real. I am such an idiot. You are not an idiot. You are optimistic and kind, and those are good things. Vincent is the fool. He had someone genuinely good standing there, willing to give him a chance, and he threw it away. Emily came running up the path, followed by Margaret and Thomas. They surrounded Sophia with love and concern, all talking at once, asking what she needed, how they could help. "We need to get her out of here," Thomas said, his face still red with anger. "Away from the cameras and the gossip." "I'll take her to my apartment," Daniel said immediately. "I have a place downtown that no one knows about. She can stay there as long as she needs. I will make sure the press does not find her." "Why would you do that?" Margaret asked, studying Daniel's face carefully. "Because someone needs to help her, and my family is responsible for this disaster," Daniel said simply. But the way he was still holding Sophia's hand told a different story. They smuggled Sophia out through a service entrance, avoiding the chaos at the main gates where reporters were already gathering. Daniel drove while Emily sat in the back with Sophia, holding her as she cried. Daniel's apartment was in a modern building in the downtown arts district. It was spacious and filled with architectural drawings and models, clearly a space where he spent time on his creative work. He settled Sophia on the comfortable couch and brought her water and tissues. "I'm going to go back and deal with my family," he said, crouching down so he was eye level with her. "But Emily has my number. Call me if you need anything at all." "I mean it, Sophia. Anything." After he left, Emily helped Sophia out of the wedding dress. They left it in a heap on the bathroom floor. Sophia put on comfortable clothes that Emily had brought and then just sat, staring at nothing. Her phone was exploding with notifications. Text messages, calls, social media alerts. Emily took it away from her. "You do not need to see any of that right now." But Sophia already knew what they would be saying. The videos were already viral. The hashtags were already trending. She was the girl who got dumped at the altar by the wild Harrington heir. Entertainment for millions. The next few days were a blur. Sophia stayed in Daniel's apartment, too ashamed to face the world. Her school gave her a leave of absence. Well-meaning friends sent messages she could not bring herself to answer. The story was everywhere. Late-night talk shows made jokes. Memes spread across the internet. Her face, frozen in shock at the altar, became a symbol for humiliation and heartbreak. Daniel came by every evening after work. He brought food, knowing she was not eating. He sat with her in comfortable silence when she did not want to talk. He made her laugh with stories about disastrous architectural projects. He never pushed, never demanded anything from her. He was just there one evening, a week after the wedding. Daniel brought Chinese takeout and found Sophia finally out of her pajamas. "Wearing jeans and a sweater, you are dressed," he said with a gentle smile. "That is progress." "I cannot hide forever," Sophia said, though her voice was hollow. "Eventually, I have to face my life again." They ate dinner, sitting on the floor of his living room, containers spread between them. Daniel told her about a new sustainable housing project he was designing for low-income families. Sophia found herself genuinely interested, asking questions. Engaging for the first time in days. "You really love what you do," she observed. Watching his face light up as he talked about his work, Daniel admitted, "I know it is not as impressive as running a corporate empire like Vincent was supposed to do, but it feels meaningful. I am creating spaces where real people will live real lives. Every building should make life better for the people who use it." "Ah, that is beautiful," Sophia said softly. "You are creating homes. That is more important than any corporate empire." Daniel looked at her with such warmth that Sophia felt her breath catch. There was something in his eyes, something tender and caring that made her heart skip. And suddenly she was very aware that they were alone in his apartment, sitting close together, and that he was the one who had been there for her through everything. Sophia, Daniel started, then stopped. He shook his head. "Never mind. What were you going to say?" "It is not the right time." "Daniel, please. I feel like my whole life is spinning out of control. Just be honest with me." He met her eyes, and the intensity there made her pulse quicken. "I think you are the most remarkable woman I have ever met. I think my brother is the biggest fool alive for not seeing what he had. And I think I am falling for you, which is completely wrong timing and probably the last thing you need to hear right now." Sophia stared at him, her heart pounding. She should have been shocked. She should have pulled away. But instead, she felt a surge of something warm and real flow through her. "It is not the last thing I need to hear," she whispered. "It might be exactly what I need to hear. Sophia, you just went through something traumatic. You are vulnerable. I do not want to take advantage of that." "You are not taking advantage." She reached out and took his hand. "You have been the only good thing in this nightmare, Daniel. The only person who made me feel like I mattered, like I was not just a pawn in someone else's game." "You matter," Daniel said fiercely. "You matter so much." They sat there, hands clasped, looking at each other. The moment felt fragile and precious, like something that could shatter if either of them moved wrong. Finally, Daniel pulled back gently. "Let us take this slow. You have been through too much. I do not want to be a rebound or a reaction. If there is something real between us, it will still be there when you have had time to heal." Sophia knew he was right, but part of her did not want slow. Part of her wanted to grab onto the one good thing in her life and hold tight, but she nodded. "Okay, slow." Over the next few weeks, Sophia slowly began to piece her life back together. She returned to her teaching, facing the curious stares and whispered conversations from her colleagues. Her students blessedly knew nothing about viral videos and tabloid scandals. They just wanted to learn their letters and numbers. And Sophia threw herself into giving them the best education she could. Daniel became a constant presence in her life. They had coffee twice a week. He took her to art museums and small restaurants where no one recognized her. They talked for hours about everything and nothing. And slowly, carefully, something beautiful began to grow between them. But the shadow of Vincent still loomed. Sophia heard through Richard that Vincent had disappeared after the wedding. No one knew where he was or what he was doing. Part of her worried about him despite everything. Another part of her was angry. He had destroyed her life and then just vanished while she was left to pick up the pieces. 2 months after the wedding disaster, Sophia was leaving school late when she saw a figure waiting by her car. Her heart jumped into her throat. It was Vincent. He looked terrible. He had lost weight, his clothes were wrinkled, and there were dark circles under his eyes. When he saw her, he straightened up, and she could see the shame written across his face. "I know I have no right to be here," he said, his voice hoarse. "I know you probably hate me, but I needed to apologize. Properly. Not through lawyers or press statements. Face to face." Sophia's first instinct was to get in her car and drive away, but something made her stay. "You have 3 minutes. Then I want you to leave me alone forever." Vincent nodded. "That is fair. Sophia, what I did was unforgivable. I humiliated you in the worst possible way. I was a coward. I let my father push me into something I knew was wrong, and then I took the coward's way out instead of being honest from the start." "Why did you even agree to the wedding if you knew you would not go through with it?" Sophia asked, her voice tight with anger she had been holding back. "Because I am weak," Vincent said simply. "Because I have spent my whole life disappointing my father. And part of me wanted to believe that maybe this time I could be who he wanted me to be, but I could not. And instead of facing that honestly, I waited until the worst possible moment to admit it." "You destroyed me," Sophia said, tears threatening. "Do you understand that? I was a nobody, a teacher, and you turned me into a global joke. Every day I see the memes, the comments, the jokes. People recognize me on the street. My students' parents whisper about me. You ruined my life because you were too selfish to face your own problems, I know." Vincent's voice broke. "I know, and I will never forgive myself. I have been in therapy, trying to understand why I sabotage everything good. It is not an excuse. Nothing excuses what I did. But I wanted you to know that I am trying to be better, and that you deserved so much more than how I treated you." Sophia wiped her eyes angrily. "You are right. I did deserve more. I deserved honesty. I deserved respect. I deserved to be treated like a human being instead of a prop in your family drama. I did. And for what it is worth, I hope you find someone who gives you all of that. Someone who appreciates how special you are, Because you are special, Sophia. You are kind and brave and genuine. Everything I am not. Before Sophia could respond, another car pulled into the parking lot. Daniel got out, his face darkening when he saw Vincent. He walked quickly to Sophia's side. "Is everything okay here?" Daniel asked, positioning himself slightly in front of Sophia. Vincent looked between them. Something like understanding crossed his face. "You two are together." "That is none of your business," Daniel said coldly. "No, it is not," Vincent agreed. "But I am glad. Sophia deserves someone like you, brother. Someone who will actually be there for her." He looked back at Sophia. "I will leave you alone now. I just needed to say I am sorry. Truly sorry. For everything." He walked away to his car, and Sophia watched him go with mixed emotions. Part of her felt vindicated that he had apologized. Part of her was still angry. And part of her just felt sad for the broken man he was. "Are you okay?" Daniel asked gently, turning her to face him. "I think so," Sophia said. "It was good to hear him apologize, I guess. Closure, maybe. He does not deserve your forgiveness." "Probably not. But holding on to anger was only hurting me." She looked up at Daniel, this man who had been her rock through everything. "Can we go somewhere? I do not want to be alone right now." They ended up back at Daniel's apartment. They ordered pizza and watched movies, curled up together on the couch. It felt easy and right being with him. No pressure, no performance. Just two people who genuinely enjoyed each other's company. "Sophia," Daniel said, during a quiet moment, the movie forgotten. "I know we said slow, but I need you to know something. I am in love with you. Completely, irrevocably in love with you. And I want to build a real relationship with you, if you want that too." Sophia turned to look at him, her heart so full it felt like it might burst. "I want that. I want you, Daniel. Not as a rebound or a reaction. I genuinely love who you are. You make me feel seen and valued. You make me laugh. You make me feel safe. I love you." Daniel kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of promise. It was nothing like the performative, obligatory kiss she would have had with Vincent. This was real. This was right. Spring arrived in the city with an explosion of cherry blossoms and warming sunshine. Sophia stood in her classroom, watching her students work on their art projects with messy enthusiasm. Paint was splattered everywhere, but their faces glowed with creative joy. This was what she loved most about teaching. The pure, unfiltered happiness of children discovering new things. Her phone buzzed with a text from Daniel. "Lunch today?" "I have something exciting to tell you," Sophia smiled. They had been officially together for 4 months now, and every day felt like a gift. Unlike the forced arrangement with Vincent, this relationship had grown naturally, built on genuine friendship and mutual respect. Daniel never made her feel like she had to be anything other than herself. They met at their favorite cafe, small place near the river with outdoor seating. Daniel was already there when she arrived, bouncing slightly in his seat with barely contained excitement. "You look like you were about to explode," Sophia laughed, kissing him hello. "I got the commission," Daniel said, his face lit up like Christmas morning. "The sustainable housing project I told you about. The city approved my design. We are breaking ground in 2 months. 50 affordable homes designed with green technology and community spaces. Daniel, that is incredible." Sophia grabbed his hands across the table. "I am so proud of you. This is your dream coming true." "Our dreams," Daniel corrected. "Because I was hoping you would help me with part of it. I want to include a community center with educational programming. Teaching spaces for kids. I thought maybe you could consult on the design, help me understand what teachers and students need." Sophia felt tears prick her eyes. "You want me to be part of your project?" "I want you to be part of everything," Daniel said seriously. "This project, my life, my future. Sophia, these past months with you have been the happiest of my life. You make me want to be better, to create things that matter." They spent lunch discussing ideas for the community center. Sophia got excited talking about learning spaces, natural light, flexible rooms that could adapt to different activities. Daniel sketched on napkins, already incorporating her ideas into his vision. Walking back to her car, hands clasped, Sophia felt a contentment she had never experienced before. This was what a real partnership felt like. Two people supporting each other's dreams, building something together. But life has always had more challenges in store. That evening, Sophia received a call from Richard Harrington. She had not spoken to him since the disastrous wedding, and seeing his name on her phone made her stomach clench. "Mr. Harrington," she answered cautiously. "I owe you an apology," Richard said without preamble. "I manipulated you into a terrible situation. I put my company's reputation above your well-being. I treated you like a business transaction instead of a human being. It was wrong." Sophia was so surprised she sat down hard on her couch. "I appreciate you saying that. Words are not enough, I know. But I want to make amends. I understand you are an excellent teacher. I would like to fund a scholarship program in your name at your school. Full-ride scholarships for 5 underprivileged students every year, in perpetuity. Mr. Harrington, that is very generous, but I do not need your money to forgive you." "It is not about forgiveness," Richard said. "It is about doing something good with the resources I have. You care about education? Let me help make a real difference. No strings attached. You will have full control over selecting the recipients." Sophia thought about the students she saw every day, who struggled because their families could not afford basic supplies or tutoring. "If you are serious, then yes, I accept. Those scholarships could change lives. Consider it done. My lawyers will draw up the papers. And Sophia, for what it is worth, I am glad you and Daniel found each other. He is a good man. Better than Vincent or I ever gave him credit for being." After she hung up, Sophia called Daniel to tell him. He was shocked but pleased. My father actually admitting he was wrong? That might be a first in recorded history. He must really respect you, or he feels guilty, Sophia said. Maybe both. Either way, those scholarships are amazing. You are going to change kids' lives. The scholarship announcement made local news. Suddenly, Sophia was in the public eye again, but this time for something positive. Teachers at her school congratulated her. Parents thanked her. The narrative was finally shifting from the girl who got dumped to the educator making a difference. But not everyone was happy about her newfound happiness. One afternoon, Sophia was leaving school when a woman approached her in the parking lot. She was expensively dressed, probably in her early 30s, with perfectly styled hair and cold eyes. "You are Sophia Bennett," the woman said. It was not a question. "Can I help you?" "I am Vanessa Wright. I dated Vincent Harrington last year. I just wanted to see for myself what was so special about you that the Harrington men cannot seem to stay away." Sophia felt her guard go up. "I do not know what you mean."
Ali?
"Everyone knows you are with Daniel now. Moving on pretty quickly, were you not? From one brother to the other. That must be some kind of talent. My personal life is none of your business," Sophia said coldly, trying to move past. But Vanessa blocked her path. "Vincent destroyed you in front of the whole world. And now you are sleeping with his brother. What kind of woman does that? Are you trying to work your way through the whole family?" "Back off," Sophia said, anger rising. "You do not know anything about me or my relationships." "I know Vincent called you boring in bed," Vanessa said with a cruel smile. "He told me all about it. He said you were like kissing a statue. That is why he could not go through with the wedding. He just could not face a lifetime of disappointing sex with someone so vanilla." The words hit Sophia like a slap. She had never even kissed Vincent, let alone slept with him. This woman was lying, trying to hurt her. But the words still stung because they played on all her insecurities. "You are pathetic," Sophia said, finding her voice. "Making up lies about someone you do not even know. Whatever you and Vincent had, it is over. And whatever vendetta you have against me, get over it." She pushed past Vanessa and got in her car, hands shaking. She sat there for a moment, breathing hard, before driving away. She did not mention the encounter to Daniel that night, not wanting to give Vanessa's words any more power than they already had. But 2 days later, Vanessa's accusations showed up online. Someone had recorded the parking lot confrontation on their phone, and Vanessa had gone to a gossip blog with her story, claiming Sophia was a manipulative woman who had seduced both Harrington brothers. The article included the edited video that made it look like Sophia had been the aggressive one. The comments section was brutal. The old jokes and memes resurfaced. People who had just started to see her positively now questioned everything again. Was she using Daniel to get revenge on Vincent? Was she a gold digger who had just shifted targets? The speculation was endless and cruel. Daniel was furious. "We are suing her. This is defamation. She made up complete lies about you and Vincent." "It will just make things worse," Sophia said warily. "The more attention we give it, the bigger the story becomes. I just want it to go away." But Emily had a different idea. "You need to tell your own story. Really tell it. Stop letting other people control the narrative." "How?" "An interview. A real one, with a journalist you trust. Tell the truth about everything. The arranged marriage, Vincent's rejection, falling in love with Daniel. Own your story instead of letting gossip sites own it." Sophia was terrified of the idea, but Emily was right. She was tired of being defined by other people's versions of her life. With Daniel's support, she agreed to a long-form interview with a respected journalist known for fair, thoughtful reporting. The interview took place in Daniel's apartment, a neutral space where Sophia felt safe. The journalist, a woman named Patricia Morgan, was kind but asked hard questions. "People say you moved from one brother to the other very quickly," Patricia said gently. "How do you respond to that?" Sophia took a breath. "I understand why it looks that way. But the truth is, I never had a real relationship with Vincent. I agreed to an arranged marriage because I was young and naive, and I thought I could help someone. Vincent made it clear from the beginning that he did not want to be married. We never even kissed. When he left me at the altar, I was humiliated, yes, but I was not heartbroken over losing him specifically. I was heartbroken over the public rejection and Daniel. Daniel was a friend first. He helped me through the worst time of my life. He did not have to. He could have stayed out of the family drama, but he showed up day after day, just being present and supportive. What we have now grew naturally out of genuine friendship and mutual respect. There was no manipulation, no revenge plot. Just two people who discovered they had real feelings for each other. Some might say the timing was inappropriate. Some might, Sophia agreed. But grief and recovery do not follow neat timelines. I do not owe anyone an explanation for when I was ready to open my heart again. Daniel is nothing like Vincent. Being with him is not about replacing someone. It is about discovering what real love actually feels like.